the recording. Hello and welcome to Open Access and Open Educational Resources. Today we're going to cover a number of topics to help you learn more about open access and open educational resources that you can use in your classroom and in your profession. We will talk a little bit about the definition of OA and OER, benefits, using it, how they differ, benefits of OER, and using OER. So about OA and OER. Both open access and open educational resources are inspired by the open movement. They both aim to remove knowledge from behind paywalls, but they differ in their purpose. OA focuses more on research, whereas OER focuses more on teaching and learning. So open access is a method of sharing scholarship that's digital, online, free of charge, and free of most copyright and licensing restrictions. What makes OA possible is the internet and the consent of the author as the copyright holder. OA is entirely compatible with peer review, and all the major OA initiatives for scientific and scholarly literature insist on its importance. Just as authors of journal articles donate their labor, so do most journal editors and referees participating in peer review. OA literature is not free to produce, even if it is less expensive to produce than conventionally published literature.
Open educational resources differ in that they're focused on education and providing tools to your students than providing access to your research. Open educational resources can be anything that you use with your students, from full courses or course materials to things like modules, textbooks, streaming videos, tests, software, simulations, or any other types of tools and materials that you use to provide students access to the materials they need for your classes.
So what are the benefits of open access? Open access provides completely free and unrestricted access to all. So think of it as a global entity. It's equitable distribution of information worldwide, provides immediate availability of research output. It increases the visibility, usage, and impact of research. And this is one of the primary driving forces behind open access. It enhances the reputation of authors and institutions and attracts potential collaborators. It provides a lot of exposure to the work that you've done. And it provides a platform for compliance with funder requirements.
Between 1977 and 2014, textbook prices rose between 800 and 1,041%. From 1998 through 2016, the Consumer Price Index for textbooks rose 181%, while the CPI for all items rose 48%. The CPI for recreational books, in contrast, fell 4.2%. The issue that students face with regular textbooks is that the textbook price has increased 3 times the rate of inflation. Students represent a captive market for publishers. This huge divergence in book prices over time implies that the college textbook publishers can't blame costs for the rise in college textbook prices. It suggests that the college textbook market is insulated from normal market forces because students aren't available to change the textbook they use for a given class. They can't pick just any random algebra textbook for an algebra course or any economics textbook for an economics course. They are required to use the textbooks that their instructors have selected for that class. Next slide, please. The high cost of textbooks prevented an estimated 2.4 million low and middle income students from completing college in the past decade. In 2018, 21% of UWF students surveyed indicated that they had a class that did not require them to purchase textbooks or other materials. Almost half of Florida students spend more than $300 per semester on their textbooks. This has gone down since the previous study in 2016. Around 43% of students report spending more than $300 on other course materials. Our students are adapting to the high cost of textbooks by renting print or digital texts, borrowing from course reserves at the university libraries, sharing textbooks with friends, using earlier editions of textbooks which they can purchase more inexpensively, going without their textbook entirely, taking fewer courses, avoiding certain courses or majors due to the high cost of their textbooks, or dropping courses that have high textbook costs. All of these affect student success and enrollment intensity. In Florida, financial aid only covers the cost of textbooks for 20.6% of students. The benefits of OER are that students can access their textbooks and other readings when classes start. They can take their courses in the correct order because they can afford the textbooks or have access to them because OER textbooks are either free or greatly less expensive than a traditionally published textbook. This allows them to be more likely to graduate on time, and it levels the playing field for students of all economic backgrounds.
Using open access. Open access falls into two categories, gratis OA or Libre OA. Gratis OA is where journal articles are freely available with no price barriers. It needs permission for expanded fair use. Libre OA removes price and some permission barriers, may have a Creative Commons license, and some rights are reserved. No license, of course, means all rights are reserved. There are several types of open access. Here you'll see it ranges from gold to green. Gold is published licensed articles with an article processing charge that the author pays. There's hybrid, which is an open access journal that has an article processing fee, but may have some green attributes. Diamond is published to open access articles with no fee. Bronze is freely available to read with no license. And then green, which is considered the ultimate, are archived pre or post prints and accepted manuscripts. Green open access falls into a lot of areas where people may not understand some of the myths versus facts. Essentially, with green open access, researchers have the ability to put their resources in repositories or like entities and be available to use to everyone. Some of the myths versus facts are in the image. Pay to play or pay to publish is a myth. The fact is institutional repositories take in open access journal articles for free. Compels faculty to publish in an open access journal. You're not compelled, it's a freedom. And that's what makes open access unique. It's not detrimental to the top journals. They don't lose money because of open access. It does not affect royalties. It only applies to the journal article itself. It doesn't undermine scholarly quality and peer review. Those are allowed by the vast majority of scholarly journals, whether or not they're commercial or open access. And there's no more work for faculty than writing the article that is usually done after research is completed. There are several tools to find open access that you might find helpful. The university libraries has a subscription to Cabels, which has a directory of journals with journal analytics. Sherparoma is freely available. It analyzes journal open access and will tell you the open access attributes of all journals. There is the DOAJ, the Directory of Open Access Journals, which is a database where you can go and find journals that exist in your discipline and are open access. It will give you information if there are author processing charges or some of the links directly to the journals. Chronos Hub Finder, Journal Finder, Journal Guide, and Dataset Search are a variety of places that you can go to and look at different elements of information that will be helpful if you select or decide to go with an open access journal. Preprints and repositories. It's important to understand that the university has an institutional repository called the Argo Scholar Commons. There are a number of entities that you can put into the repository, including preprints of articles that you've written, accepted manuscripts, and published journal articles. Which one you submit to the repository will vary depending on the publisher and what type of access you want it to have. There are preprint servers and open repositories that also exist where one can deposit articles. One thing to keep in mind with open access is that there are predatory journals and publishers that really prey on authors of research with author publishing charges that are not only expensive, but also allowing you to publish to journals that may not have good integrity or ethics. It's something to keep aware of and have an idea of when you're searching for open access journals. There are several finding tools for predatory journals. Things you want to look out for are journal descriptions that don't match content, Gmail or Hotmail editor addresses, poorly written information directions, open invitations for editors. Some of the places that you can go to see what journals may be considered predatory are Beall's List, Science List, Stop Predatory Journals, and Stop Predatory Publishers.
Using OER for your classes takes some thought. We'll discuss some of the issues related to that in the next few slides. At the core, OER is about having permission to use materials based on a license from the author. We discuss licenses in our Copyright and Creative Commons workshop. So I'm going to just focus on the attributes that they can confer to you for them to be OER here. The key way to think, classic way of thinking about this is the 5R permissions: retain, reuse, revise, remix, and redistribute. The retain right is required in order to do any of the other rights that an OER might provide, to revise, remix, or reuse content. And all of these attributes are needed for any materials to be considered an open educational resource. At the very least, you need to have the right to retain the materials and to redistribute them to your students. The additional rights, reuse, revise, and remix, talk about your ability to alter those materials, which some authors may not want you to do. It may be difficult to find the perfect OER because not all subjects have an open educational resource that's already been created. They are more likely to exist for lower division high enrollment classes. Things like general education science classes, college composition, and math classes are more likely to have had OER created for them. Despite this, someone might have created the perfect resource for your class, but finding that resource might be challenging. You can modify most OER to fit your needs as long as the author has given you permission to do that. There are several strategies that you can use for searching for OER. Because class titles aren't uniform, and class numbering definitely isn't outside of the state of Florida, keyword searches can be frustrating. But keep in mind that you can mix and match OER materials. You can browse in repositories by subject or discipline, and then narrow your search down. For example, you can start with life sciences, narrow your search to biology, and then narrow by material type or education level. The UWF OA and OER LibGuide includes a list of many repositories that include discipline-specific resources that you can use to find courses for resources for your course. And if you have problems finding them, please be sure to reach out to me, Cindy, or your subject specialist librarian. I'm going to discuss a few of the OER repositories that you might want to consider. These are probably my top 6. The OER Commons has been around since 2007 and is a great first step in searching for OER materials. Merlot is a collection of open teaching resources supported by the California State University system and includes peer-reviewed collections so that you can see how faculty who have adopted or reviewed the OER consider their quality. Teaching Commons includes open textbooks, course materials, lesson plans, lectures, and other materials, and have been curated by academic librarians like me and Cindy, even though we don't actually take part in that particular project. LibreTexts focuses on the sciences and provides access to almost 400 open textbooks. OpenStax, which is probably the one that most of you are familiar with, mirrors traditional publishing models with editorial processes and reviews by active faculty in the field. OpenStax provides students with access to free textbooks in a variety of formats, including EPUB, PDF, and Kindle formats, but they also have the opportunity to purchase hard or soft-bound editions that they can specify are either printed in monochrome format or color format, depending on what cost they want to pay for those printed materials. OpenStax is supported by Rice University. The Open Textbook Library is supported by the University of Minnesota and is curated and provides faculty reviews of the materials that it contains. It has reviews for about 60% of textbooks that are housed there, and it also includes authoring and editing guides for people who are interested in creating their own OER textbooks or in modify those that they find. Finally, the Mason OER Meta Finder is a type of search engine focused just on OER materials. What's different for the Mason OER Meta Finder, is that it does real-time searches of at least 22 OER repositories. Unlike a Google or Bing or other search engines that you may use normally, MOM will continue to update results as it finds them and give you opportunities to add them to your list of results. And then you can filter them by author or institution or material type. Next slide, please. One of the most challenging things to do when trying to use OER resources for your classes is finding multimedia resources, including images and audio. Finding images, the easy low-hanging fruit to do this is to use Google, Bing, Flickr, or Europeana. Each of those offers filters or advanced search options that allow you to limit your searches to images with licenses that allow free use or that are in the public domain. All of the content provided by Creative Commons, Wikimedia Commons, Open Clip Art, and the Noun Project is openly licensed. So if you select content from those sources, you'll know that you have the right to use them. You still need to provide attribution for where you got that source. Creative Commons Search is a gateway to search other sites, Google Images, YouTube, Flickr, etc., for content that's openly licensed. You can search 13 different sites through this engine, but you can only search one of them at a time, not across all sites simultaneously. Wikimedia Commons houses all of the media that's used in Wikipedia, as well as additional public domain and freely licensed educational media. The Commons does not provide an advanced search, but everything on the site is either public domain or Creative Commons licensed. Europeana is a gateway to European cultural assets. Through this single site, you can search for artworks, cultural items, archival collections from participating institutions around Europe. The site's a gateway. So once you have selected the items you want, you'll be redirected to the site of the institution that owns the item. Often these sites will not have English translations. So this is something to be aware of when trying to use their resources. Many of you are probably familiar with Flickr. It has been around for a long time. It is to image sharing what YouTube is to video sharing. There's content from individuals as well as organizations like the Metropolitan Museum of Art and Library of Congress, among others. Open clip art provides public domain clip art for use in classes, slides, and presentations. You can browse the collection, you can search, browse by collection, search alphabetically, search by keyword, and all of the images can be downloaded in SVG, PDF, and PNG formats up to 2000 by 2000 pixels. And finally, the Noun Project is a collection of openly licensed icons. Most of these icons can be downloaded in both PNG or SVG files, can be downloaded free of copyright for a small fee, usually a couple of dollars, or free of charge under the terms of a CC license. Note that when you download the icon free of charge, the illustrator's name is in the lower left corner of the image. This can be cropped off, but attribution must still be given in an appropriate place near the use of the image. Audio has some similar options. CC Mixter is a community music remixing site, which features music samples and complete remixes for public use. Each track is licensed under a Creative Commons license, but the license and the permissions that are given may vary from item to item. So be sure to check to see what you are allowed to do with a given sound file. The Free Music Archive is a library of free legal audio downloads directed by WFMU, a free-format radio station. It's inspired by the open source movement and Creative Commons. The songs provided are openly licensed under terms set by the individual artists. So again, review the terms that they have set for their songs. Freesound is a collaborative database of audio snippets, samples, sound recordings, and sound effects that have been released under open licenses to allow others to make use of them. As with the other resources, pay attention to the license terms. The Global Music Archive is a resource center for traditional and popular song, music, and dance of Africa and the Americas. It's hosted by Vanderbilt University. The digital collection of East African recordings provides searching and browsing by region, language, ethnic group, and musical instrument. The last two resources that I want to mention are associated with large national libraries. The Library of Congress's Citizen DJ, created by Brian Fu, allows users to explore the library's recordings to create and download original beats and sounds. And the British Library's sound collection contains an assortment of sound materials, including performances, oral history, sound maps, various musical styles, and even sound recordings focused on accents, dialects, environment, and nature. Much of the material is available to the public, but some materials are restricted to users within England or the EU. I'm not sure how Brexit has affected this particular resource and who has access to what. Excuse me. The other item that faculty are often interested in are software simulators and homework systems. I'm not sure if the next slide has this information or not. It does not, so I will just continue on. So software simulators and homework systems are also potentially OER resources. This is a common issue for instructors who are teaching math classes and want to have homework systems that can automatically grade student work or provide it all in an electronic format. So I'm going to discuss some of those. PhET is a resource of math and science simulations from the University of Colorado, Boulder Physics, Chemistry, Math, Earth Science, and Biology departments. Lab Exchange is a free online platform for science education from Harvard University Physics, and it also includes chemistry and biology. The SkyServer project, run by the Astrophysical Research Consortium, has activities using Sloan Digital Sky Survey and has basic, advanced, and research challenges. For biology students, eSkeletons and the Whole Frog Project are great resources. eSkeletons is an interactive environment in which students can learn about skeletal anatomy through the osteology database at University of Texas, Austin. And the Whole Frog Project allows students to explore the anatomy of a frog using data from high resolution MRIs and from mechanical sectioning, together with 3D surface and volume rendering software so that they can see the anatomical structures of an intact animal. There are a lot of other great resources, including Reactor Lab, which is an interactive chemical reactor simulation. There's Learn.genetics, which has interactive technique labs and online lessons in genetics, cell biology, evolution, human health, plants, neuroscience. It's provided by the Genetic Science Learning Center at the University of Utah. Because math is such a common question in math problem sets, I want to point out iMath AS is a web-based mathematics assessment and course management platform designed for math. Includes homework, quizzes, tests, practice tests, and diagnostics. And students can receive immediate feedback on algorithmically generated questions with numerical or algebraic expressions. Edfinity is an NSF-backed homework and testing platform. Doesn't require self-hosting or installation like some of the other OER platforms might, and it provides ready-to-go homework mapped to dozens of courses and learning outcomes. It works well with any commercial or OER textbook. Finally, My Open Math is an OER math homework system that's competitive with publisher solutions. It covers subjects from math and pre-algebra through pre-calculus and contemporary calculus. Previews of the courses it provides are accessed to the main page using guest as a login ID without a password if you want to take a look at it. Next slide, please. I think that is where we'll wrap up today. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact either me or Cindy. And if you have specific questions about resources within your discipline, please reach out to your subject specialist librarian. They will be happy to help you.